Yes, it's Psychicworld.net here. John G. Sutton, that's me, by the way. I'm going to talk today about the ghost of the executioner whose name was John Ellis. John Ellis was born in the Manchester area on the 4th of October 1874. And he was commissioned as a hangman and conducted a total of 203 executions. I'll show you a photograph of John Ellis so that you can get an idea as to who I'm talking about here. This is John Ellis, yeah. You can see that, yeah, John Ellis. John Ellis was the hangman who executed one of the most notorious criminals in the annals of British crime. He executed Harvey Crippen, Dr. Crippen. There we are. And that is Dr. Crippen. Dr. Crippen was executed at HMP Pentonville and in the year 1910, and he was executed by John Ellis. John Ellis was apparently quite a troubled individual, and he worked alongside Albert Pierrepoint in the late 1920s. In the late 1920s, when Albert Pierrepoint was a kind of an apprentice. And a big problem that John Ellis had was that he executed a lady called Edith Thompson, who had been found complicit in the murder of her then lover, and she was sentenced to death, and she was hung at Holloway Prison by John Ellis. And this is a picture of Edith Thompson, who was 29 years of age at the time. Not a particularly great photograph, but that's all I've got. That's Edith Thompson. Hung by the neck until she was dead at Holloway Prison by John Ellis. The hanging apparently deeply affected Ellis. He was never the same after that, because Edith Thompson, on learning that she was going to be hung and her appeal had failed, collapsed and was unable to walk to the gallows. She was carried to the gallows by 4 of the prison staff, who tied her to a chair, and John Ellis hung her. Her body was subsequently buried in unconsecrated ground within Holloway Prison. Now you might think, well, why am I talking about John Ellis? Well, the spirit of John Ellis is not quiet. You see, Ellis, as I said, following the execution of Edith Thompson, became somewhat unhinged, and he was attempted suicide, shot himself in the face, but only managed to blow part of his jaw off. And it was a criminal offence then to attempt suicide, and he was bound over for 12 months. Ellis also hung the individual known as Sir Roger Casement. As I said, a total of 203 executions John Ellis took part in. And on the 20th of September in the year 1932, John Ellis decided that he couldn't go on any further, got a cutthroat razor and literally cut his own throat and died. So why am I talking about John Ellis? Well, it dates back to when I first joined the prison in 1975, and I was being shown around the jail. I only just started actually, and we went on to B1 landing, and right at the very end of B1 landing there was a cell, and I felt very disturbed around this cell. I thought there's something strange about this. I didn't know, first time I'd been on B-wing, and I just felt very uneasy at the very end cell on the left on B1 landing. And I told the officer I was with, I said, there's something odd about this. He said, I'd stay away from there. He said, that's the execution cell. So you go in there and there's a door through into the execution shed. And that is where John Ellis would have been, and taking the inmate's sentence to death through to the execution shed. Subsequently, I was on nights at Strangeways prison. It would be close on midnight, and I was patrolling B-wing actually. And as I was walking along B-wing on the B1 landing, you had to go through all the landings, and I saw what I thought was a light. It was a light emitting from the very end cell on the left, which was the condemned cell. And really, it should have been completely empty. Completely empty. They just used it to stack furniture in there, like desks and chairs and mattresses, because they didn't use it to hold people. And the reason that they didn't use it to hold inmates was because it was haunted by this man, James Ellis. So I looked through the Judas spy hole into the condemned cell at the end of B1 landing, and there, standing before me, wearing a hat in a very dark suit, was a man with a moustache, and it was John Ellis. I was quite shocked by this, and looked again, and suddenly the cell was dark. There was nothing there. It was just a fleeting apparition that I had when I saw John Ellis. And so I saw him after that again. I saw a man walking down the centre of B1 landing, right down the centre, and at the end there's a metal staircase that leads up to the central rotunda at Strangeways jail. And I knew this was quite early in the evening, about 10:30, and I knew that there was nobody in the prison. Shouldn't be anybody on B1 B-wing except me. I was the duty officer in charge of the wing on that night. So I saw this man, and he was dressed, he had a black hat on and a black jacket suit, and carrying a black bag. So I immediately took off and tried to follow him, because I believed it was somebody on the wing. But when I got to the rotunda, it was empty. There was nobody there. All that was there was the principal officer sat in his office. So I went in and said, I've just seen a man walk down B-wing carrying a black bag with a dark hat on and a suit. Oh, he said, I won't worry about that. He said, that's John Ellis. He said, his ghost frequently seen here. Really? Yeah. So I saw John Ellis twice in Strangeways. And numerous staff at the prison had over the years reported a visitation from that man. So his spirit is not quiet, and even to this day I believe that John Ellis in his spiritual body will still be walking the landings of Strangeways jail and visiting the condemned cell. This is John G. Sutton. Do please like and subscribe, and visit my website, Psychicworldnet.